My name is Arthur Brennan. I'm 67 years old, and I need to tell you something before they find me, before they realize what I've done. I've been a landlord for 32 years, seen every kind of tenant you can imagine. Hoarders, dealers, families that fell apart, young couples just starting out. But I've never seen anything like what lived in Unit 4B, and I use the word lived loosely. It started 3 months ago, October. The leaves were just beginning to turn, and I was showing the apartment to potential renters. Unit 4B had been vacant for 6 weeks, unusual for that building. Prime location, reasonable rent, newly renovated. Should have been snapped up immediately. The first couple that came to see it lasted 5 minutes. The woman kept rubbing her arms, said she felt cold. It was 72 degrees. The man kept checking his phone, frowning at the screen. "No signal," he muttered. But I had full bars. They left without explanation. The second viewer was a young professional, confident type with a firm handshake. He walked through the bedroom doorway and stopped dead. Just stopped, like someone had pressed pause on him. After about 10 seconds, he backed out slowly, never turning around, and left without a word. When I called later, his number was disconnected. Then she came. I say she, but honestly, I'm still not sure. The woman who wanted to rent 4B looked normal enough. Mid-30s, professional clothes, pleasant smile. Sarah Chen, according to her application. Perfect credit score. Impossibly perfect, actually. 850. References that checked out when I called, though thinking back, all 3 voices sounded oddly similar. But it was her eyes that should have warned me. They didn't track movement properly. You know how when someone's reading something, their eyes move left to right? Hers moved in perfect circles. Tiny, constant circles, even when she was looking straight at you. She paid 6 months up front. Cash. Who refuses that? The first month was quiet. Too quiet. I live in the building, Unit 1A, ground floor, and I'm used to hearing the everyday symphony of apartment life. Footsteps, muffled TV, occasional arguments, laughter. From 4B, nothing. But the cameras told a different story. I have security cameras in all the hallways. Liability reasons, you understand. I started checking the footage because I was curious if she was even living there. She was. Every single night at exactly 3:33 a.m., Sarah Chen would leave her apartment. She'd stand in the hallway for precisely 1 hour, facing the wall. Not looking at her phone, not smoking, not doing anything. Just standing, facing the wall like a punished child. At 4:33 a.m., she'd go back inside. Every single night. Voice becomes more urgent. I should have evicted her then. Should have found some excuse. But the rationalist in me, the businessman, kept saying there had to be an explanation. Sleepwalking, maybe. Some kind of condition. Then other tenants started complaining. Mrs. Rodriguez in 3B, directly below Sarah, said she heard singing at night. Not normal singing. She described it as backwards music, like someone had reversed a recording. Her grandson stayed with her one weekend and refused to ever come back. The boy was 7, and he told me the ceiling in his grandma's apartment had faces in it that watched him sleep. Kids, right? Imagination. Except then I saw the ceiling myself when I went to investigate a leak. The water stains. Christ, they did look like faces. Dozens of them. All screaming. The couple in 4A started finding notes under their door, handwritten messages in languages that didn't exist. I saw one. It looked like someone had tried to write while having a seizure, all jagged angles and symbols that hurt to look at. The couple moved out within a week, didn't even ask for their deposit back. But the worst was Tommy Nguyen in 4C, right across the hall from Sarah. Tommy was a good kid. 25, worked IT, always paid rent on time. He started losing weight about a month after Sarah moved in. When I asked if he was okay, he laughed. But it was wrong, like he'd forgotten how laughing worked. "She visits me," he said. "Sarah?" "She visits you." "Not Sarah." The thing wearing Sarah. I checked the cameras for the night Tommy mentioned. The footage showed Sarah's door opening at 2:15 a.m. She crawled out, not walked, crawled, on all fours, but her limbs bent in ways that weren't architectural, like someone had broken her arms and legs and reset them at random angles. She crawled to Tommy's door and just pushed through it. Not opened it. Through it. Like the door was made of water. The footage from inside the hallway showed her emerging from Tommy's door 6 hours later, walking normally, smoothing down her business attire, like she'd just come from a meeting. Tommy was found 3 days later in the building's basement. He'd somehow gotten inside the water heater. The industrial one. The one with an opening barely 8 inches wide. The coroner said it was suicide. Said he must have disassembled himself to fit. Nobody disassembles themselves. I went to confront her last week. Had my eviction papers ready, sheriff on speed dial. I knocked on 4B's door at noon. Broad daylight, other tenants around, safe as I could make it. She answered immediately, like she'd been standing there, waiting. "Hello, Mr. Brennan," she said, and her voice was perfect. Too perfect. Like someone had studied human speech patterns and was performing them. "We need to talk about your tenancy," I said. She smiled, and I noticed she had too many teeth, just slightly too many. "Would you like to come in?" Every instinct screamed no, but I needed to see. Needed to understand what was happening in my building. The apartment was wrong, geometrically wrong. The walls met at angles that shouldn't exist. The ceiling was too high and too low simultaneously. And the windows, God, the windows showed views that weren't possible. One looked out onto our street, but from above, like the window was on the roof. Another showed the apartment building, but from across the street. Except there was someone in my apartment, in my window, looking out. It was me. But I was standing right there. "You're wondering what I am," she said, still smiling with those extra teeth. I couldn't speak. "I'm a tenant, Mr. Brennan. Just like anyone else. I pay my rent. I keep quiet. I don't damage the property. You killed Tommy. Tommy invited me in. They all invite me in, eventually. Even you will." That's when I noticed the smell. Sweet. Rotting, like flowers left too long in water. And underneath her skin, something moved, rippled, like she was just a costume, and the real thing was trying to get comfortable inside. "What do you want?" I managed to ask. She tilted her head, too far, almost completely sideways. "I want what everyone wants. A nice place to live, neighbors to visit, community. You're not human. Neither are you, Mr. Brennan. Not anymore. Not since you came in here." I ran. God help me. I ran out of there like a coward. But she was right. Something changed when I entered 4B. I see things now. The walls breathe when I'm not looking. My reflection arrives a second late in mirrors. And the other tenants, they've started to look different. Hollow. Like something's been scooped out of them and replaced with shadow. I tried calling the police, but the words came out wrong. Instead of explaining about Sarah, I found myself inviting them over for dinner. My mouth moved on its own. I've been recording this in my car, parked 3 blocks away. I can't go back to the building, can't go home, but I can feel it pulling me. Whatever Sarah is, she's spread through the building like a disease. And I'm infected. The really scary part? I checked the city records yesterday. There is no Unit 4B in my building. Never has been. The 4th floor only has 3 units. but I have keys to 4B. I have 6 months of rent from 4B, and when I look at the building from outside, I can see it. Right there between 4A and 4C, impossible and undeniable. If you're listening to this, stay away from 4427 Maple Street. Don't look for Unit 4B. Don't investigate. Just forget this story. Forget I existed, because I can feel myself forgetting. Every hour, I lose a little more. My childhood, gone. My wife's name, gone. Soon, I'll be empty enough for her to move in, another unit for her to occupy. She doesn't want our apartments. She wants us. We're the property she's renting. And the lease is forever. Wait, I just realized something. I've been recording this for 20 minutes, but the timestamp says 3 seconds. And that reflection in my phone screen, that's not my face, that's her. She's been telling you this story the whole time, hasn't she? And you listened, all the way to the end, which means you just invited her in.